loves, welcome back to my channel, Peace with Sha. I go by Sha or Shalonda. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're new, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you're a returning visitor or subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. I hope that you find this video helpful, and please share it if you do. I think this is a time where a lot of people who are interested in grad school and our undergrad are applying for fellowships, and fellowships are so beneficial, as we know that they are one of the main tools that people use in order to fund their way throughout graduate school. They're something that are very sought after, and I'm just going to share with you all my experience with applying for fellowships, looking up fellowships, in hopes that it can inspire, educate, and help you along your journey if you are someone who is seeking to apply to a fellowship sometime in the near future. I am a recipient of a major fellowship, and I have been awarded honorable mention for another fellowship as well. And so I just wanted to share with you all things that I felt were beneficial to me through my process of applying for fellowships, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So there are so many mixed emotions that I had when I was applying for fellowships. Three main ones, actually. It was exciting, it was stressful, but it was also very nerve-wracking. It was nerve-wracking mainly because of my personality. I can be someone who can be quite anal and just about certain things, so I think I made it more nerve-wracking and stressful than it had to be. But just generally speaking, whenever you are obtaining or whenever you are trying to reach a goal, at times there are moments where you can feel a little stressed out about it. It was definitely exciting because I was going after something new. I was going to be able to kind of talk about myself in a light that I haven't before. You know, I don't think most people go around talking about all the things that they've been able to accomplish. But when you are applying for fellowships, it's beneficial and necessary to be able to talk about yourself in a humble way, but also a factual way about what you've done thus far. It was stressful at times just because the uncertainty, like you're doing all this work and you don't know whether you'll get it or not, but I'll talk about that later on in this video. And it was more nerve-wracking because of just the details of just making sure that you stayed on top of the game. The first thing I did when I was trying to apply for fellowships is I did my research. So I think it's so important in different fields like humanities and the sciences. There are fellowships that are characteristic to those fields, and I recommend you going on Google and looking up databases, and I can try to provide some down in the comments below that were helpful for me. But there are major ones that we all know about, such as the NSF, such as the Ford Foundation, such as ISA has some, and there are several other government fellowships that are available. So I just sought out the ones that I wanted to apply for and the ones that I felt like I qualified for. So it's very important to make sure that you qualify for these fellowships and that you meet some of the requirements of the fellowship. So once I selected the fellowships that I wanted to apply for, I looked at the deadline, I put them on my calendar, and I started to make a somewhat of a timetable as far as progress towards completing the fellowship. For me, it was so important to see the bigger picture and to see how many fellowships that I have, when were they all due, and what did I need to do between now and then to make sure that I was the least bit stressed as I could be, and that I was able to turn in all of them on time with everything that they needed. So once I identified them, once I marked down the deadlines, I immediately contacted my recommenders. I contacted my recommenders without having anything to really give them at the time, but I just contacted them to let them know, hey, I'm applying for these. I just want to let you know now, so in the future when I ask you, will you be able to write me a letter of recommendation? Once I have my documents, you know, once I have a draft of my documents together and I send them to you, are you willing to vouch for me? I think that's so important. Even if you don't have anything yet, to just go ahead and let them know, hey, I'm going to be contacting you in the future about this, and I would like to know, do I have your support, or can I have your support through the writing of a letter of recommendation. Within that email, I also give them a deadline. I also give them what they need to say about me, not verbatim of you should say this about me, but what are the requirements? What are they looking for your recommenders to speak on? Are they looking for them to speak on your work ethic? Are they looking for them to speak on your character, your promise in the field, things of that nature? It's usually on the website of the fellowship, so I will just copy it and paste it in the email, hey, these are the things they want you to go over. And then later on, I send them an email with my actual draft, so they can also touch on things that I talked about in the draft. And that just helps reinforce your package altogether, and helps with consistency and alignment of your fellowship package, that everyone's on the same page, everyone knows what you want to do, and you're not saying you want to be a professor and your recommender is saying, oh, they want to go work in a museum. Like, those are two totally different things. So just to make sure that everyone's on the same page about what your actual goal is, how you intend to achieve that goal, and how this fellowship will help you do that. So after that, the next step definitely is to start creating that outline, an outline of your personal statement, which, you know, there are different ways that you can write a personal statement, and I can talk about this in another video. If you would like for me to do so, please comment below. But you just want to do an outline for your personal statement, an outline for your research statement, and if needed, an outline for your research experiences. And usually, you know, you do most recent to least recent as far as research experience. It depends. Or you can flip it around. Just like look for what they want. They usually will tell you. But if you're telling a story, you're probably going to start off where you started and where you are now as far as your research experiences go. As it pertains to your personal statement, you really want to find something that is characteristic to yourself. So like, there are so many cliche stories out here, like, oh, when I was 5, I always wanted to do that. That's not really helpful. No one really cares. Like, how will you doing this impact the future? How will you going after this degree be beneficial to the world? And how did you get to that realization that this is what you wanted to do? And that may be your story, but you do want to find just a snippet of your life that's very telling of the type of person you are, of the values that you have, of your work ethic, things of that nature. You just really want to find a story and pull it out. So it's all about the story that you tell, and you want to find a compelling story to tell. So once I've done that, I start to go after my goals. So I started to write out my draft, my rough drafts. And I went through so many rough drafts, you guys. You're not going to get this on the second, third, or fourth time. Like, you're going to need to go through a lot of revisions, and that's good. And you're going to need to have other people look at your application. So that's something else that I did. I identified people, and they usually were my family, my mom, and one of my older brothers, and my advisor from undergrad when I was kind of in the gap year. I reached out to him, and also like my potential advisor, who is my now advisor at my graduate school. I reached out to her and my other advisor, and I just asked them, you know, can you look over my package? Like, can you look over my statement, and can you just give me your input about, you know, ways that I can strengthen it? And they were very instrumental and helpful for me with doing that. If you don't have someone to do that, like, you should. Like, you should find someone, even if it's your academic advisor, even if it's your friend, you know, even if it's like someone in your family. Just have someone else look at it to make sure that what you're saying is clear, is understandable, and someone can follow it and that it makes sense. So don't use a lot of jargon when you're talking about your research experiences or things that are pertinent to your field, because everyone may not know what you're talking about and everyone may not actually care. So just make sure that you're writing in such a way that everyone can understand and relate to what you're saying. You want to be relatable. So then, of course, revise, revise, revise. Also, throughout this process, as I said earlier, I contacted my recommenders to let them know that I was applying for fellowships. You want to continuously, you don't want to be a bugaboo, but you absolutely want to at least 2 or 3 times, depending on who you're working with, remind your recommenders that a deadline is approaching. You know, once you've sent them out that first draft and then you sent them out a more polished draft, you know, just remind them gently that, you know, this is the deadline for the fellowship. And usually most fellowship applications will have an email to your recommender to also let them know when the application deadline is and how they can submit a letter on your behalf. I found that for the most part, everyone I asked was pretty just on it. You know, you want to ask people who you know are responsible and are not just responsible, but who are sensitive and considerate of deadlines and don't let things escape them so easily. But if you are asking someone who is very, very busy and like has a lot going on in their head and sometimes misses deadlines, I think it's important to just gently remind them, you know, this is really important to me. I just want you to be aware of this deadline. Just like a little reminder, like, hey, I'm just checking in. I just want to remind you that this is coming up. Something just simple, as easy as that. Something else that I did and I recommend for everyone to do is to submit early. I had a scare with one of my fellowships where I didn't submit early, and I literally submitted the day of, and it was very stressful. and I would never do that again, and I wouldn't encourage you to. So definitely submit early. That's something I did, and that like gave me so much more peace of mind all the rounds in which I submitted a application. I want you all to know that it's okay if you do not receive a fellowship the first time. I did not receive any fellowships the first round that I applied to fellowships. Although I got great reviews and other things of that nature, I did not receive any, and at first it was kind of like frustrating. However, I took it as a learning experience, because in academia, and no matter where you're going, you're going to have to be able to convey who you are, and you're going to have to be able to talk about certain things. So I saw it more as a learning experience, as something that helped me grow as a writer, and as something that helped me be more reflective as the type of person I am, and as the type of things that are wanted and needed in this field, and in this realm of academia. Second go around, I also received positive feedback, but I also was awarded a fellowship, and so that was like a great accomplishment and a great blessing for me. Even if your whole graduate career you're never awarded a fellowship, never feel bad about yourself, never feel like you're less than, because they are highly competitive, and there's no like right formula. Like no one, you know, it's kind of by chance at this point. Like, you know, like, yeah, you earn it, whoever applies for it and you are awarded, you earn it, but like there are so many qualified applicants, and so you should never feel like beat yourself up if you don't receive it. Just have faith in knowing that in the future it's very likely for you to do so. I've met people who haven't received some during their graduate career, but post-grad, post-doc, they receive very, you know, generous and competitive fellowship. So if it doesn't happen now, I definitely believe it will happen later for you. Keep working at it, keep your head up, and just continue to do the best that you can do in whatever you're putting your mind to and your efforts towards. So the major lessons in all of this is a long video, but the major lessons is to start early and to give yourself enough time. Don't want to be too hard on yourself, because that will kind of take the fun and the enjoyment out of this experience. And it will just like make you not really want to do it if you're too hard on yourself. So definitely don't beat yourself up about the process. Just be patient with yourself and take your time. Pace your work according to your own personal work ethic. For me, I know that I'm someone who, if given enough time, I may procrastinate, and that's not a good thing. It's something I'm definitely working on, but for me, I know that if I feel like working on something right then and there, that's when I need to work on it. So for me, with my fellowships, I knew like the day or the times that I would have the most time, it would probably more than likely feel like working on something. So I knew to schedule in that time of like, I'm going to work on it, my statements now. I'm going to do this now. I'm going to work on my application at this time. So you want to base it on your personality and not on that of what someone else told you to do, if you know that that's not going to work for you. So do what works for you. Another lesson I learned is, okay, if you don't get the award the first time, you don't always get everything you apply for, and that's true with life, that's true with jobs, that's true with fellowships. And so always just take things as a learning experience. You know, this is experience that provides you growth and just a good lesson to learn regardless of the outcome that you get or attain. Yeah, that was my experience applying to fellowships. I applied to the Nancy Foster Fellowship, I applied to the Ford Foundation, I applied to the NSF. I was awarded the NSF Fellowship, which I'm very grateful and thankful for. And I don't take it lightly, and I don't take it for advantage. But I also know that it's something that I literally have been preparing for since before I got into grad school. That's something else I did was after like, there are people who share on their blogs and other avenues like their own personal applications, and I found these to be very helpful as far as how to structure them, as far as what, you know, people may be looking for. And of course, you don't do exactly what people would say or do, but it's a very helpful working point to go off of, to know like, how do I even structure this if you have no idea, if you've never written something like that before. I think it was very beneficial for me, and I would encourage you all to ask people who you know, or just go on Google. Honestly, Google is your best friend, and to look up just examples of things people have done in the past, a good or poor you know, application, and just to really help you get your mind around the type of writing that you need to do, you know, the style that you need to do, and kind of what they're looking for as far as the components of your application. So those things were really helpful for me as well. So I definitely encourage you to do that. I definitely encourage you to talk to your potential advisor, to ask them for advice about things that they think would make a strong application, things that you need to include in your application. I definitely think you should talk to your peers and just ask them, you know, about their experience as well, just to keep an overall positive mindset and attitude about it. So that is my experience with fellowships. Those are some of my tips and recommendations, and also some of the lessons that I learned. I hope this video was helpful for someone. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below, and I will happily get back to you. As always, peace, love, and joy, and thank you so much for joining my channel today. Bye!